This is a Big Don production in WJRG Sports Talk. I'm filling in tonight for my brother Jerry Green. Well, my name is Henry Green, and I'm gonna start with the guys in the studio. Big Don, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. Everything's good.
Good, Ken. How are you, Ken?
I'm doing amazing, man. Looking forward to doing this.
Right, and here in the virtual room, which is what I call it, we got Anthony McClure. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm good, man.
Good, good. And Mr. Larry Pearson, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm excited.
Good, good. And I'm Henry Green. I'm filling in for my brother tonight. So we're going to start off. Well, we know we just had the Super Bowl, so we're going to start off with the Philadelphia Eagles defeated. They shut down Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs offense, beating them at one time in the game. The score was 40-7. The final score wound up being 40-22. They closed the door on any three-peat, and they got their revenge of their Super Bowl loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm gonna ask you guys this question: was this the greatest defensive front line performance by the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl history? Let's start with you. Larry. What do you think?
By the Philadelphia Eagles,
Yes,
they
the
have some
defense.
lines in the
We're talking about
past,
the defense now.
not as far as the total defense. I think they was outstanding. The secondary held up tight. There was rushing four, and four was getting to Mahomes. I mean,
That
they
that
went
that,
they went through the offensive line, so there really wasn't too much of a choice if they couldn't block four people, and then you have the rest in the secondary. And the secondary is very good, and it's like Mahomes has his hands tied.
and that's really the question. Was the front line for the Eagles was that the greatest defensive performance by a front line that you guys have seen in Super Bowl history? Bishop, let's start with you, such and welcome. How you doing, Ernie?
I'm
Bishop,
doing
welcome.
beautiful. I'm doing beautiful. I was gonna
So,
mess with Larry, but I know he's still in pain. So
yeah. So what is your take as far as looking at how that front four, how they dismantle the Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs?
listen, first and foremost, their defensive coordinator is no rookie. He has been around for a minute, and I'm very sure he spent the last God knows how many weeks, even before they knew they were going to the Super Bowl, studying how to get to Patrick Mahomes. He had the right formula. I mean, most of the time, you think that a blitz would upset a person like Patrick Mahomes. That four-man rush, man, I got to be honest with you. And Jones, I don't know if they lost Jones for the rest of the game or just lost him for a few plays. But, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out the Eagles' front four and the whole scheme. I didn't understand the scheme, but whatever it was they decided to do, it worked. Because they didn't rattle Mahomes, but they sure didn't let him get set in what he was doing. I could say that much. And those 5 sacks or 6 sacks, however many sacks it was, that was just sheer strength. I mean, then I realized how beefy that front line is to begin with. So there were a lot of pluses there.
Now, what's your thoughts on that, Larry, about that defensive front four?
The defensive
I'm
front four,
sorry, Anthony. I meant Anthony. Sorry, Larry. Anthony.
okay.
Sorry, Anthony.
Oh,
Anthony.
the fact that they didn't blitz, I think this shows you just how dominant that they were. And the thing also with between the sacks and the hurries and the hits, it was it was a total team effort. As for all time, it has to be mentioned up there. I remember the Steelers holding the Vikings to 29 complete yards when they won their first Super Bowl.
Yep.
Of course, the Bears dominating the Patriots when they won with the 46 defense. And truth be told, I think what people forget also, the Jets in Super Bowl III when they held the when they held the Colts to basically, I think, like a less than 200 yards. So it definitely has to be put in. It definitely historically, it definitely has to be mentioned as one of the, if not the top, one of the top 4 or 5 Super Bowl performances by a defense as well.
Right? Kendall, what's your take?
Well, considering who it was, and Pat Mahomes, who we're looking at as one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback behind Tom Brady, who's going to be mentioned with Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw. And they only rushed 4 guys, which left the secondary with 7 guys to cover the receivers. That has to be, at least by analyzing it, the best line I've ever seen. Now, I compared him to the Steel Curtain, and it was interesting because I thought about this. That offensive line, that defensive line, went up against that offensive line in practice every day, which was the biggest offensive line in the history of the NFL, averaging what, 6'6" and like 320? So if you're dealing
Yeah.
with guys every day, it was sort of like the Steel Curtain. The Steel Curtain dealt with Mike Webster every day, who won the strongman contest every year. So for me, I think that line, I mean, as far as a line is concerned, because I do remember Jack Lambert coming inside or Donnie Shell blitzing. They never had to blitz. That had to be the best 4-man front that I've ever seen.
What about you, Donald? What's your thoughts? Sorry, Bishop Burton, you going to say
Let
something?
Don go ahead, because I wanted to add to what Kendall just said, but let's hear Don first.
Well, from what I've been seeing all year, we always said they had a great defensive line. We already knew all that. But this is the best I ever had seen them play. The bottom line is the Eagles came ready.
Yeah.
They came ready. Let me ask y'all a question because I missed this part. Who actually got the kickoff? Who actually got the coin flip?
Kansas City.
Kansas City won and they deferred, didn't they?
And they heard it?
Yeah.
Was that a mistake or was that a mistake? The boys came right down and scored. I didn't know who did the flipping.
They didn't score the first time. They didn't score the first time.
How you doing, Larry?
All right, Larry. They
didn't score the first time they got the ball.
Let's put it this way, Larry. They came ready. They came ready, Larry. They put something on your boys. They came ready. That's the bottom line.
No doubt. No doubt.
Over that line. They came ready.
I was going to say this, and Kendall, you're right. That they playing against that offensive line day in and day out during practice. The main thing you had to look at, that defense played. I mean, the turnovers, man. I mean, wasn't that many? Just 2 interceptions and a fumble, I believe. But that first interception turning into a pick 6, the defense is the difference in this game. Because when you go back and look at the final score, let's forget the fact that it was garbage time scoring in the 4th quarter. But still, the defense was the difference in this game. That secondary read Mahomes like a doggone Dr. Seuss book. They just read him. And how do you not see that middle linebacker? If I can't remember his name, but the middle linebacker who picked off did the pick 6. And was he a rookie? Am I right?
No, he's the cornerback. He's a cornerback.
Bottom line,
McCann, right?
I'm not sure what his
Cooper
name was.
DeJean.
Looking at
Cooper
the
DeJean.
replay, he disguised himself and went unnoticed and exposed himself when it was necessary.
Yeah.
Pretty
So,
smart.
Pastor.
Yes.
Sorry, Bishop, you through with your thought?
Yes, sir.
So, Pastor, I don't know if you heard the question, but
No.
basically what it is, was this the greatest the front line? We're talking about the Eagles the front 4. Was this the greatest performance in the Super Bowl history that you saw from a front line?
No, 85 Bears. The Bears were definitely the greatest defense ever. But this was just a carbon copy of what happened to Kansas City against Tampa Bay. Exactly.
Yep.
The first, when we was texting, I said, this looks just like Tampa Bay. The offensive line could not block their defense. That was the whole thing. And it wasn't that they did so much as far as confusing him. They only rushed 4. They never blitzed. So they was able to drop 7 back. They were able to cover all his wide receivers. And he couldn't hold the ball because they couldn't block the front 4. I think it's only 6 times in NFL and Super Bowl history that a whole game was played and they never blitzed the quarterback, and all 6 times the defensive team won. That was the key to the whole game.
But and
On
Pastor,
top of that,
you said that the Bears, the 47 defense, greatest of all time, or was it a 46? Greatest of all
47.
time.
47.
11 players, right? 47 defense, greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
But can you make a case for just this line, not the secondary, this 4-man front? Because that 47 defense had a whole lot of tricks. They did their thing. They had they literally had linemen, like, because back in the day, when the Giants had Bill Belichick, they had linemen that could cover running backs, so they did a lot of switching up. And Mike Singletary, he was in San Francisco. No, Mike Singletary in San Francisco. But would you say that this line, forget the whole defense, offensive line that we saw from Philadelphia can make a case of being the best we've ever seen? Just the line, the secondary.
No, can't.
Okay.
Do you understand that the Bears? You know who was the MVP of that Super Bowl? Richard Dent, defensive end. Yeah, Richard Dent. Yeah, so that the thing wasn't. It wasn't even. They got a young. This is just how the Giants were able to beat the great Tom Brady twice. They were able to rotate their defensive linemen, JPP and them guys coming off the bench. They wasn't even starters, and they kept constant pressure coming up the middle on Brady. But the thing is, this was their Achilles and the Eagles. This was a bad matchup. Their deficiency was their offensive line. The Eagles got a great young front four and their linebackers, the All-Pro, and their deep and their secondary. The young kids played great. This was just a bad matchup. A bad matchup. They killed them.
Can we actually talk about the MVP of the game?
Actually, that was going to be
Hurts didn't do his thing.
That was the next question to come up. So since you brought it up, that was the next question I had here. So I had Jalen Hurts outplayed Patrick Mahomes and win Super Bowl MVP. Will he now start getting the respect he deserves as a quarterback who has done what Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen haven't done, beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? So that's the good. So Donald, let's start with you, Donald. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, he deserves it, and now he's gonna start getting his due. He already done went to Disney World. Yeah, he's in now. He's in. His foot is in the door. He made up for that for the 2 years ago when he lost. As far as I'm concerned, he made that up. You know what I mean? He was already proven to be. Last year we know he was hurt. I felt it last year, so that's why they really couldn't pull it off last year. They didn't have Jaquan Barkley. They had everything they need. The Chiefs did exactly what I thought they were going to do. They concentrated on Barkley, and I kept saying, Hurts going to get loose. So on offense, this guy was phenomenal, and I got to give Hurts his due. I said, yes, he's up there now.
Absolutely. What about you, Kendall?
Well, I think we can almost make a case that Jalen Hurts has outplayed Pat Mahomes twice in the Super Bowl, although they're 1-1. And I think we got ourselves a healthy rivalry here. And that boy was playing chess. That young man was out there with the with the Jordans on. He got fined for that too, for having not matching Nikes. So doing the thing, rushing for 72 yards. He broke the Super Bowl rushing record that he had, which was 70. And he just seemed to just make the plays. I mean, when you watch the game, it's got to be the first game that I have ever seen that I felt like Pat Mahomes was not going to win the game. There was no doubt in the game. Pretty much from the whole game, it was like, okay, Philadelphia, from the first quarter on, Philadelphia is going to win this game. And he held on, and he did what he needed to do. He played very intelligently.
What about you, Anthony? What's your thoughts?
Going into this, I was saying that a lot of people have been sleeping on what Jalen Hurts can do on both sides. I think he's already proven that he can throw the ball. He has a great touch, and we know that he can run. He's already broken Randall Cunningham's record for rushing touchdowns in his career, and he's still a kid. And remember, he didn't play terribly in that first Super Bowl, but there's unfortunately with mainstream / white media, they still have a problem embracing black quarterbacks who are mobile. But what they're gonna have to realize is that the Lamar Jacksons, the Hurts, the CJ Strouds, and Mahomes to a certain extent, the day of the slow, methodical drop back passer are done. He
Yep.
can still make it. They can still make a little bit of an impact, but because of the high injury factor and because the game has gotten faster and these players have gotten bigger, you have to have a mobile quarterback. And the thing about it is, Hertz basically does all of that. He can throw with touch, he can throw deep, and he has and what's great is that he also has a buffer back there with Barkley to offset. And to be honest, he's to me, I think he's probably another Super Bowl away from you have to start talking about him being in the elite class. And who's to say that Mahomes and Hurts can't wind up being the Manning and Brady of this era?
What about you, Pastor? What's your thoughts?
No, I think he actually. I think well, first of all, I think Kansas City. You had to take away one. They committed to taking away Barkley, and they took him away. You know, the
Mhm.
only thing is that the defense played great, even though you look at the onslaught. But Patrick Mahomes gave him 14 points, pick six,
Yeah.
and he threw an interception on the 14-yard line. Might as well gave him 14 points in the first half. The thing is, their defense said they were going to take Barkley could get nothing. They was trying to get him a touchdown at the end. He couldn't get anything. So, but Hurts, like you're saying, did just what he needed to. When every time they got to a situation, he took it away, he ran the ball. So he didn't have to give Barkley the ball. He ran it. Then they went for the kill shot because to me, I know someone said the game was over at halftime. If they would have, the only reason the game got out of hand is because I said when they came out that second half, they had to score, and they did. They didn't score, and the Eagles threw the bomb. They took the kill shot. I said, you could not let that go into the fourth quarter with Patrick Mahomes only down 10. They did just what they had to do. They put the kill shot in there, threw that bomb, and game was over at that point right there. But yeah, Jalen Hurts actually outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the other Super Bowl. You know, so he's faced him twice. He outplayed him twice. He only got one win, but he outplayed him. So
Yep.
yeah, he's put himself up there. We have to see where the rankings come out next year as far as, top 10 quarterbacks and all that, but he's definitely did nothing but elevate his position.
Yep. So what's your thoughts, Larry, on Jalen Hurts?
I look at these quarterbacks totally different. When I look at Jalen Hurts during the whole game, he was rushed one time. One time he was hurt when he threw an interception. His offensive line protected him like he was the president. Okay? Barkley, I mean, that offensive line is just huge. Even when they blitzed, they couldn't get to him, And for opening up holes and running, if that was Mahomes had that kind of time, it would have been a totally different game. But Hurts did play a great game as far as the passing. He was right on point. He wasn't, the receiver turned around, the ball hit him in the hands. Defensive back didn't have a chance to turn around. But as far as the other stuff, how you say how much he outplayed Holmes, the pressure on me was that low, I could have did that.
Okay. So next question. So I'm gonna start with this, Larry. We'll start with you.
Hold up. Henry.
Yep.
Bob McCormick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you left me out, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Bishop, I'll get you next.
Go ahead, Bishop. Go to Bob. Bishop.
All right. No, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to be real quick. I think the Eagles sent their calling card and just smacked them in the mouth on that tush push alone right there. That first time they scored when I said to myself right then and there, I said, if they get in that situation anymore, because you saw Jones went off to the side. I think he had a neck strain or something like that. Yeah, I mean, they got left their calling card right then and there. And that told me right then and there that Kansas City was in for a long afternoon. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, we got Bob McCormick coming up. Go ahead, Bob.
All right, I got my sports report tonight for you guys, and 126 million, the most watched or streamed, tuned into the Super Bowl this year. Autumn Lockwood, an Eagles assistant performance coach, she made history as the first African-American female to earn a Super Bowl win. She's been with Philly since 2023. Didn't see this, but Lettucey performed the rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. I did see the national anthem performed by John Batiste. I thought he did a good job with that. I didn't care for Kendrick Lamar at halftime. A lot of people said he was lip syncing it. I don't know about that, but he had this special appearance, of course.
Well, he's a rapper, man. He don't be singing.
Palestinian flag protester crashed Lamar's show, but he won't face charges. Jalen Hurts, we all know MVP, was honored yesterday at Disneyland, Philadelphia, expecting 1 million people to attend the Eagles victory parade this Friday, Valentine's Day. And here's some news coming out of the Eagles camp. Offensive coordinator Kellen Moore will be the next head coach of the Saints. Next year. Next year's Super Bowl will be at Levi Stadium on February 8th, 2026. By the way, the Chiefs-Ravens are favored to win in 26. The Eagles are not far behind. This according to Vegas odds makers. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers appears he won't return to his team next season. Washington QB Jaden Daniels is the NFL Offensive Rookie of the year. Former two-time Yale athlete and Bears player coach Dick Duran, he's died at the age of 74. Ireland will host the Steelers' first NFL regular season game in the upcoming season. Their opponent, that is, hasn't been announced yet. Antonio Gates, Jared Allen, and Eric Allen going into Pro Football's Hall of Fame this summer. Play the Pacers tonight. Former nickname Robinson, good for him. He got his kidney transplant. It was successful. Mavs Anthony Davis will be out multiple weeks with adductor strain. 76ers Joel Embiid may need another knee surgery. Luka Doncic, I don't think you guys have talked about this. He played last night. He scored 14 points in 24 minutes in his debut as a Laker in a win over the Jazz. 91-year-old, I did watch this. U.B. Brown, a basketball coach and sports broadcaster, called his final game on Sunday on ABC. Giannis Antetokounmpo is out and will miss the NBA All-Star Game, which is this weekend in San Francisco. Friday night is Rising Stars and Celebrity Game. Saturday is the NBA HBCU Classic. Morehouse will take on Tuskegee. The Skills Challenge three-point contest and slam dunk are that night. Former UConn player Action Jackson will take part in the slam dunk. Now, the All-Star Game, a little bit different this year. It will feature 4 teams and 3 games. Each game will be won by the first team to score 40 points. UConn is knocked out of the top 25. The Huskies play Creighton tonight. And on the ice in the NHL, they've halted the regular season. The inaugural 4-nation teams face off matches. The best players from the U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland. And a round robin that begins tonight in Montreal and ends in Boston with the championship game on February the 20th. And that's all the sports I got.
Hey, Bob, quick question. Is UConn, is that the men or the women?
Men.
Okay, I didn't know. I don't follow. Okay.
All right, Bob. Thank you for that.
All right. Yep.
There's not going to be another. There's not going to be a three-peat this year because UConn men are 2 pieces short from being another team.
Okay. But I didn't know because he just said UConn. Man, so I just want to ask this quick question before we move on to the next one. How shocked were you guys when the score was 40 to 6?
47.
40 to 7. Let's start with you, Larry. I'm going to just get everybody's take because I ain't never seen Patrick Mahomes' team be down that big. And Larry, I know that was your team, But tell me, you're at that time when the score was 40-7. What was you thinking?
6.
40-6. Whatever the score was.
I think some of them quit. Because for example, when he did the first tush push, okay, when Jones got hurt, it was like if you go into a fight and you get hit and you continuously get hit, you start to back up. You know what I'm saying? I think they got out physical. The offensive line couldn't handle it, and the defensive line, they was when it first started off, they had a good chance, but after Jones got hurt, they was too physical, and I think they was more physical than Kansas City, and Kansas City couldn't match up. So I think offensive line didn't have a chance. Defensive line played as best as they can, but they couldn't take it.
So Anthony, how shocked were you to see Patrick Mahomes down 40-6, what the score was? You never seen that.
I think again it was just a thing of the momentum. They built the momentum. The pick six was probably the turning point of the game, and also when they stopped Kansas City on that first possession in the second half, and then literally and figuratively went for the jugular. What we sort of forget sometimes is, unfortunately, with the Super Bowl, we get a lot of blowouts in a lot of instances. But I don't think anyone thought that this was going to be a blowout. I know for me personally, I thought it was going to be sort of a back and forth. But give the Eagles credit; they punched them in the mouth first, and they kept punching, the entire game, and that was basically the difference.
Yeah. What about you, Bishop? When the score was
I
40-6.
agree with Anthony, and I mentioned it before we went to Bob. That tush push was the punch in the mouth right there. And then the second half, as you said, when they stopped them on their first possession, and they had several possessions in that second half where they could have scored, but they were stopped. I mean, the bottom line was simply this: the Eagles came fully loaded. I mean, and I don't want to make a bad analogy, but like what they call them, Tommy guns with they shot after shot after shot. That Anthony Brown bomb, I think Pastor Teague said it earlier. That was the kill shot right there. I mean, the air went out of their balloon for some strange reason. And Patrick Mahomes tried to be Patrick Mahomes, but they would not allow Patrick Mahomes to be who he thought he was going to be. Every time the pocket collapsed, he tried to take off, and he got caught 4 yards into trying to escape. So bottom line is this: congratulations, Philadelphia Eagles. Love what you did. And Larry, I love you, my brother, but there'll be no 3P. Just want to let you know.
Yeah. What about you? What was your thoughts when the score was 40-6?
Yeah, you can't make a mistake about it. The Eagles have the best team. All year. I mean, if you stack up their team side by side, the only plus you can give Kansas City would have been the quarterback. The Eagles had better offensive line, better defensive line, except for Chris Jones. The secondary, except for McDuffie, their secondary is better. So the Eagles were the better team, and they just proved it. And they dominated them on the defensive line. Their defensive line dominated Kansas City's offensive line, and the Eagles got the best offensive line in football and the biggest. So that's where you win. You win those games there on the line play, and they just did it. Kansas City defense did not play a bad job. I mean, they didn't play a bad game. You got a pick six and an interception on the 14-yard line. You gave them 14 points right out the box. So and then
it wasn't intentional pick six. He was running for his life.
No. I watched the interview today, and one thing I want to say, as far as looking at Pat Mahomes, I give him all the credit in the world, man. He stood up there at the interview, post conference. He said he got to play better. You can't turn the ball over. When it wasn't working, he was trying to make it happen. He said the cornerback he played, he was trying to go to Worthy. He covered him, and he tried to throw it across his body, and DeJean just cut off Worthy and picked it off. He said he made a great play. But he took all the game. the blame. He said, it's on me. I can't give him 14 points. So I got all the respect in the world for him. But I don't know if you talked about it already. He definitely ain't in the GOAT conversation no more. Nah.
Yeah,
He's one of the best ever,
Not
but
now.
you can't
coming up next.
you can't call him the GOAT now. No. GOAT
Coming up
is
next.
the greatest of all
If he
time.
comes back
I
next year
think
with
that-
Super
I'll-
Bowl,
I'll
he's
say
back
yours.
in the
No.
conversation.
No,
I'll
he's
say-
not in the
I'll
GOAT
say this.
conversation no more.
Let me get done, because that's going to be the next topic.
Okay, all right, we wait.
So, Kendall, how shocked were you to see the score 40-6, 40-7, whatever it was, with the Patrick Mahomes team?
Like everybody in the world, 127 million people watched that, and I guarantee you, there was not a person besides people in Philadelphia that thought that was even possible with Pat Mahomes. We've never seen anything quite like that, and the fact that they never blitzed, and he played his heart out, and so I was just so honored that he sat back, he accepted responsibility, and he did a good job. I was, it got to a point when you're watching the game. I wasn't knocking the fact that, all right, Philadelphia is beating Kansas City. I was just watching a really serious game plan. I was watching a team just out execute Kansas City Chiefs at every step, and they just got them right in the trenches. They just hit them in the mouth and just stayed there, and that was that. I watched Kansas City focus on Saquon Barkley, couldn't get anything. It was Jalen doing his 7, 8, 11, tush push, just doing his thing. He was taking what the offense was giving him, and he took it and won the game. And he went to Disney World. I was shocked, absolutely. But I do not think Kansas City lost the game. I think Philadelphia went in there and won that game.
Yep. What about you, Donald? How shocked were you at the score at 40-6? That's something you never seen from a Patrick Mahomes.
When I turned my TV on that morning, I got one of those fire sticks that get all channels. Everywhere I turned, if I turned to Chicago, if I turned to Kansas, everywhere I turned, they were talking about the Chiefs. Very little I was hearing about the Eagles. Everywhere, all day long, I was just listening to different things about the Chiefs. And I guess basically being on this show helped me believe a little bit more that Pat Mahomes had it going on. Because I really, in the inside, I really thought the Eagles should have won at the beginning of the year. I was talking about all that. But let me tell you just this much there. I was sitting home, and no, I did not see it coming. But my wife had cooked some great lasagna, and I was eating my lasagna and chicken and drinking soda. And it was the best blowout I ever seen. I enjoyed every minute of it. Every minute. I ain't like, it didn't have to be close to me. I like a good blowout.
Hey, Don, nothing like the afros we used to wear back in the 70s, but pretty close. You know what I mean?
By the way, who did you have in the Super Bowl?
That's
Who,
right.
me?
Yeah.
I had the Eagles. You guys knew that.
We might as well, you haven't mentioned it, so.
Listen. Like I said, hold on the KMI app, you can go 2 weeks back. The last show I was on, when we did our predictions, I went with the Eagles.
That's why I pointed it out.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
All right.
The only reason why I went with it, after watching them in that NFC Championship game, I don't know what it was that I saw, but I didn't see the Eagles team that we saw in the early parts of the season. I saw the Eagles team that came playoff time. They gathered themselves together and said, guess what? We're going to stomp on somebody, and they handled it was just a beautiful game. That's all. And I'm with you, Don. I mean, I love Patrick Mahomes. I love Andy Reid. I love Chris Jones. I like the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm an NFC guy, and I was rooting NFC anyway. Win, lose, or draw. That's just what I do.
Okay. So I was going to talk about Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, Larry.
I'm gonna do this.
Larry, where's Larry? Larry, don't you let Bishop back on that bandwagon. He said the Chiefs was his second team. Now he done threw him to the wind. Don't let him back on that bandwagon.
Listen, you can throw me on the bandwagon, but I mean, realistically, no, let's straighten this out.
Don't let him back on there, Larry.
A football fan, and you can clearly see what the writing on the wall. And it's not that I clearly saw the writing on the wall because I was an NFC guy. I had to root for the Eagles. If the Cowboys had been there, and I know Bruce ain't here, but y'all could tell him I said it. If the Cowboys were in the Super Bowl, I'm just an NFC guy, period.
Okay.
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 So before we go back to Patrick Mahomes, since the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and the last 3 years they've been one of the best teams in the NFL. Do you guys think that with this Super Bowl win, we have now see a new dynasty being formed? Because they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Last year they was 10-1, then they fell off, but they came back again, and they've been really dominant really all year. And it looks the way they beat Kansas City, nobody saw this coming. Do you guys feel now that we see this team the way they are with Barkley, with the team that they have right now? I don't know who they have in free agency, but if they come back with the same team for the next couple of years, do you guys see anybody beating them? Pastor, I'm gonna start with you.
Well, they got a good chance of going back, but really good shot at going back because they got a real. It depends on, like you said, who leaves, because every year, you get free agents, they sign it, but Saquon's going to be there, and the quarterback's going to be there, both of their wide receivers. So they got and they got a young team. Them Georgia boys they got in the front line, they're only in their second and third years. He did a great job of drafting teammates. He almost got Georgia's whole defensive team from the year they won the championship. So, and even the linebacker, he was hurt, but he got him too. So they got a great opportunity. And I tell you this too, the Lions are going to take a step back because they lost both of their coordinators, and that's exactly what happened to the Eagles last year. They lost both of their coordinators last year, and they started out good, but yeah, I think they got a good opportunity to go back. Yep.
But do you think, now talking about the coordinator, the Eagles losing their coordinator, he's going to be head coach of the Saints.
Yeah,
no.
More the
offensive coordinator. Coordinator.
Yeah,
the offensive coordinator. But they still got their defensive coordinator. They didn't lose both of them. The Eagles lost. The Lions lost the offensive and the defensive coordinator. They lost both of them.
Yep. So, Bishop, what's your thoughts on the Eagles? Do you think
before you go, Henry, can I share this with you? I'm looking at this. We were saying all that. Tampa Bay beat them the same way. The score of the Tampa Bay Super Bowl was 31-9. This looked just like the Tampa Bay game because they couldn't block. It's the same thing. This isn't a mirage. And in all those games, those blowouts, Pat Mahomes has 0 touchdowns. None.
But next year he came back and got 2.
We ain't talking about next year. We're talking about his 2 Super Bowl losses. We talked about his 2 Super Bowl losses. It was the same performance. That's what we talk about. I
don't see a dynasty, and I'm not saying they can't come back and go back to back. That's a possibility. But now with the shakeup coming up, we don't know what the Lions are going to be. We're not sure what and I got to throw the Commanders in this mix, what they might be. I don't know if Minnesota's going to straighten out their problems. McCarthy will be back next year, so the Donald problem will be solved. Oh, thank God. Anyway, then I got to throw the Rams in there. You got to still throw Tampa Bay in there. So will they become a dynasty? Those 5 teams are the block or the obstacles that could possibly be in their way. That's the way I see it.
But do you think, as of right now in the NFC, who's the best team in the NFC right now?
We know who the best team is.
The Eagles.
Winners, the Eagles.
Right.
That's
okay.
Right now. See, that's right now.
Right. Absolutely.
The 25-26 season hasn't started yet.
Right, absolutely.
I can no longer go by that because after seeing what I saw this year, I honestly, from my heart, did not see the Eagles ending up in the Super Bowl, but they got there. So I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. I got to wait and see what happens when the season starts.
What about you, Anthony?
Dynasty, you've got to win multiple Super Bowls. They're on their way. Clearly, there's no doubt they're the best team in the NFC, even with the 7-game slide last year. Losing more is going to hurt a little bit depending on who they, depending on who they put in there. I wouldn't be surprised if Sirianno starts to call more plays next year. And considering the relationship him and Hertz had, I'm not sure if that'll set them back. But yeah, they're definitely on the verge. I think the fact that the core of this team is relatively young, and yeah, there's usually a team or two laying in the weeds that'll come out of nowhere. We saw it up with the Vikings and the Commanders this year. And let's put it this way: they're probably going to, at the very least, they're going to win the division again, barring something really crazy or what have you. And yeah, I agree with that definitely the Lions somehow or another going to take a step back, but they're on the, let's put it this way, they're on the verge. I'll call them a dynasty with a small d for now.
Okay. What about you, Larry? What do you think?
I think as far as the NFC, they are one of the top teams in the NFC, but the Commanders might come up, and the Rams are looking pretty good. And also, you got the Vikings up there. We don't know how Detroit going to do. They lost the offensive defense coordinator, but they got a very good team. And last year, they took a lot of chances going on for fourth down and stuff. I think they can't repeat like that, because they took a lot of chances, and they got lucky. And but I think in the AFC, it's going to be the top three dogs back in there again. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be Kansas City, and you got Buffalo's going to be there, and so is Lamar. And it's going to be a dog fight. But I believe Kansas City going to beat through the offensive line like they did last time. They're going to come back.
Okay. What about you, Kendall?
Hoping Joe Burrow will show up again.
Got Joe Burrow. I think he'll be there. He was also the comeback player of the year. And then we also had Jared Verse, who's the NFC player of the year. I think, this Philadelphia situation, I think we're going to have to pull out the blueprint. As the running backs are coming around, going, we look at Barry Sanders as being the greatest running back of a certain era, but Emmitt Smith has a record. Emmitt Smith also had that big old offensive line. John Riggins is the one who has the 600 and some odd yards in the playoffs, because he had that big old offensive line. Having, as the pastor said, the biggest offensive line in the history of the game, pretty much. So now we see why Saquon Barkley gets 2,500 yards. We see why Jalen Hurts is rushing for 72. And we see why you can line up with a tush push, and I don't see anybody stopping it. We know it's coming, and here it is. So what are we going to do about that? It's like here we are. If they keep it together, we're going to have a situation here. I think Kansas City is going to have to retool. I think Travis Kelce, one of the best two. I'm going to say 3 or 4. The reason why I'm going to say 3 or 4, because you got to have Shannon Sharp in there when they were playing defense back in the day, and you got to have Kellen Winslow as tight ends. Rob Gronkowski and Travis Kelce, one of the best 3 or 4 tight ends in the game, and Tony Gonzalez, got to have him. And then I think that Xavier Worthy, he's going to be okay. I just think that what they're going to need to do is shore up their offensive line, because you can play more football if you have more time.
Mm-hmm.
But they had one lineman that was hurt that didn't play, and they put a guard out and playing tackle, and that didn't work at all. That was just a.
So what do you think?
I was listening to. I didn't catch
again. Oh, so the question,
Larry, was that an excuse I was listening to? I didn't catch it.
No, that was an excuse, because he got hurt when they first started. A couple of games he got killed.
Yeah.
And but he got played better in one of the games, so they thought he'd be okay. But it wasn't
going to help, Larry. It wasn't going to help. Believe me. The Eagles came ready. It wasn't going to help.
They wasn't playing no game.
I didn't get a chance to answer. I think the Eagles going to be around for a while. As long as they get that hunger in them, like some of them superstars do. I see it in Barkley. Maybe Hurts will get it too. They can keep this going. It's up to them. I don't see the Lions as good as they is. I don't think they could beat the Eagles when the Eagles come out like they played. When the Eagles really want it, who can get past them?
Yeah.
I think they're going to be around for a while if they're hungry. If they really want it, it's going to be hard to mess with them. That's the way I see it.
And I agree with y'all because their team the last 3 years they've been pretty consistent, and now that they did what they did, I think they just build up of this, but we'll see. So now let's move on and let's talk about Patrick Mahomes. So Patrick Mahomes is 3-2 in the Super Bowl, and he is still writing his story. Only Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and Terry Bradshaw as starting quarterbacks have more Super Bowl rings. So should Patrick Mahomes still be considered as an all-time great right now, or in the GOAT conversation? He has 3 rings. So the only quarterbacks that got more, Brady, Joe Montana, and Bradshaw. Let's start with you, Pastor. What do you think?
Oh, now that's 2 different things. All-time great, yeah. The best, which GOAT means the best. So that conversation, no, he's not in that one anymore. Because the thing is, if that's why this is more devastating to the Chiefs, because even though he wasn't to have 7, if he would have got 3 in a row, he would have been. They were like, man, he passed Tom Brady. I mean, 3 in a row. 7 years starting. He'd have been to Super Bowl. 4 Super Bowls before the age of 30. All that culminated. 7 AFC Championship games. All that would have did it. But now, like you just said, 3-2. But the good thing about it, he's young. So if he go on the rest of his career and win another 4, and this is his only 2 losses, yeah. But for the next couple of years, he's still on the all-time great. But you can't have the GOAT conversation as far as I'm concerned. Not now.
Right. What about you, Bishop?
I agree with what he's saying there. I mean, in order for him to be the GOAT, he's got to surpass what's already been done. He can win 4 Super Bowls. I mean, his next Super Bowl puts him at 4. I know Bradshaw and Montana were undefeated in Super Bowl appearances. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, for his career, and like you said, he's still writing his story. Who knows what his story is going to be? He could end up 7-2, 8-2. He could win 10 Super Bowls. I mean, he's going to be, let's assume he's got about at least 10, 12, 14 good years left to play football. In those 14 years, potentially he can walk away with 10. He can walk away with 8 or 9 more realistic Super Bowls. So no, I'm not going to put him like Pastor T said. I'm not going to put him in the GOAT category. But I am going to put him amongst the all-time greats in terms of his accomplishments in the what's he been 7, 8 years in the league? Am I right?
Yeah, about at least 7 years.
8 years. He has done something in 8 years that very few quarterbacks have ever done. So right there, among the greats, yes. GOAT, no.
Okay, Larry, you back? How you doing? Hey, did you catch the question, Larry?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So what do you think?
But you got to understand, he's not even 30 yet.
Right.
If he wins 3 more Super Bowls, he's gonna be up there with the GOAT. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can't rule that out yet. So
No,
he's one of the great quarterbacks right now. You take him off the GOAT, he's not out the GOAT. He can still be a GOAT. He can still be the GOAT.
Still big, but we said right now.
We said right now.
You take him off, he's a great quarterback.
Yeah.
He's one of the best playing.
Yeah, still playing. Yeah.
But
we're not arguing how great he is. We're just saying right now he can't be in the GOAT conversation.
Right
4 or 5 years down the road.
Only one can be the GOAT.
There you go. Right now it's still Tom Brady.
Right. What about you, Kendall?
Well, right now, Patrick Mahomes is 4th. Number 1 is Tom Brady. Number 2 has to be Joe Montana. Joe Montana has been in 4 Super Bowls and no interceptions. He's won 4.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Mentioned the conversation with Joe Montana, with the exception of the fact that Joe Montana has no interceptions. Now we can talk about Patrick Mahomes. His story is being told. It's going on and on. But right now he's in the number 4 slot.
How many Super Bowls Brady got? I mean, Bradshaw got?
4.
4.
Okay.
He
4-0, undefeated.
undefeated.
2 wins
But
off.
He had great. He
but
had
he ain't better than Pat Mahomes though. No,
He had super
he
teams.
ain't better than Pat Mahomes.
Not even close.
And guess what? I can actually say that Emmitt Smith was not better than Barry Sanders, but his
Was not. Emmitt
No.
Smith is not better than Eric Dickerson, but he got the most.
Or
But he got the
Walter
most
Payton.
running. He
career
had a great line.
Not better than Walter Payton either.
No, we don't want Walter Payton either. No.
So Donna, what do you think?
Before the not a GOAT, before the great quarterback, I still got it right behind Tom Brady. When he came in the league, I said he's gonna be the next Tom Brady. So I think he's gonna write his story and get in that argument. That's what he's gonna do. That's what I believe. He's gonna write his story. But right now, everybody knows he did not play like a GOAT Sunday.
But,
No, that's because
Hey, Don. Hey, Don, can I say something? He played like a goat, getting ready to get some curry powder put on him. That was about it.
But I would say is he's still writing the story. So look, the time is rolling. I want to talk about switch over a little to basketball. We'll talk about the Lakers real quick. I'm gonna start with the head coach. First time head coach J.J. Redick, who never coached before, has the Los Angeles Lakers off to a great start with a record of 32-19 and currently the 4th seed in the Western Conference compared to last season with Darvin Ham. They was at 500 at this time last year. Do you guys think with the success that JJ is having that teams will start hiring more coaches with no experience? Walter, what do you think? First of all, the job that JJ is doing, and do you think now it's going to open up doors for other coaches who have no experience?
I think it opened up doors for coaches with no experience that played in the league. Yeah. JJ played in the league, so he knows, and he has a feel for the game because he played the game, and he knows how to deal with the athletes. So I think that's what's made him. Even though Darvin Ham played in the league, but I think this will definitely open up to a new brand instead of having these retreads. I think it will definitely open up to those with no coaching experience, but still have played in the league, so have that kind of experience.
So on that thought, I want to add one thing to it. So while we go to the next person, you probably respond to it. So now JJ is white. So we know, they did a thing with the black coaches. With now, because of the success that JJ is having, does that make it more easier now for the coaches that are already white to get in, even the door open up even more for them because they see what JJ, the success that he is having. You want to add to that, Walt, before I move on to the next person?
You know what? I think it's all depends on where they go. Because even the kid down there, the coach, not the kid that's down in Orlando, he's doing a great job with that team. And I can't even name him. I don't know his name. But he was the first time coach. He didn't have any coaching experience. So I think it depends on where they go. I think it depends on where they go. And as to how it does, it depends on expectation, because he with the Lakers. But you got LeBron. And a lot of the teams, like Gabe Vincent is healthy now. Vanderbilt is healthy now. All those guys were hurt last year. And even when Darvin Ham was there, they just didn't have that chemistry. But I think LeBron is his friend, podcast guy, So it depends on how it goes. But it's definitely going to open up the door to give coaches with no experience. I think former players, coaches with no, as far as, it's always going to be swayed towards the, the fair complexion guys,
Yep. What about you, Bishop? What's your thoughts on that?
Listen, I'm going to go back just a couple of years. One Tyronn Lue, when he came in and became a coach. So, I mean, this isn't nothing new. It's just that we look at what JJ Redick is doing with a team that everybody thought was beat up and probably finished. And he's resurfaced this team, which I'm happy for what he's done. And I know we haven't gotten to the Donchek piece yet, so I'm going to hold my thoughts on that because I was rather impressed with what I watched last night without going too far into that conversation. So to JJ Redick, hats off, you know. I'm happy to see him get this opportunity, and there are going to be more like him coming down the road. The bottom line is these players are looking at these owners are looking at it like this. I get a guy who played in the league, give him an opportunity. I don't have to give this guy $30 million. All I can give him is $5, $6, $7, $8 million and give him incentives to prove himself. So it's a win-win for the owners and for that coach who's looking for his big break into the big leagues.
What about you, Larry?
Nah, it has to deal with leadership. There's been a lot of guys that was given chances as ex-football players in the NFL who had great careers, but their leadership ability was not there. If you cannot deal with the players right now, if you can't relate to them and find ways to motivate them, then you fight a losing cause, you know, because that's 90% of it, you know, is getting everybody into it and just giving them a desire to win and show them how. At the same time, be a teacher as well as a leader.
All right. What about you, Kendall?
I think JJ has done a very good job. I think he displayed a lot of intelligence when he was on like Sports Talk. He was on a First Take. He was nominated for a 2023 Emmy, Sports Emmy. And you know, I mean, he seemed very bright. So and LeBron is pretty bright. So I mean, he's doing a great job. And he did, like when I saw the lineup, I stayed up and watched the game. That's why I was so tired this morning. Because I wanted to see that lineup. I was so grateful that the Lakers did not get rid of Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is playing out of his mind. He's getting down. And LeBron and it looks like Luka, they look pretty good together. You got Jackson Hayes and Rui together. Excuse me. And it just seems like they got a pretty good combination, a spread, like a little spread offense. So he's looking pretty good. I mean, the kid came from Duke. He was also part of that. Remember the LA Clippers back in the day when they had oh my God, Chris Paul and JJ Redick and
Jordan.
Blake and all that sort of stuff. So he's been around and he lasted in the league for a lot of years. So he has a little smarts to him. So it's showing. He's you know what he reminds me of? Lenny Wilkins. Lenny Wilkins had a good head for the game too. Stayed there for a long time.
Yeah.
All right. What's your thoughts, Donald?
When Bishop mentioned Tyrone Lue, we know LeBron James was behind that.
Yeah.
Now we look at JJ Redick, we know LeBron James behind that. So LeBron James, in my book, he done opened some doors. I think we're going to see more of this, you know, because JJ Redick, I wouldn't be surprised someday he go on and win a championship now. You know what I mean? But let's give LeBron his credit. He know how to spot that talent. That's what we were saying about him all the time. You know, he made Tyrone Lue. Now he's making JJ Redick.
LeBron James is general manager.
So I think we're gonna see more of this. Just because.
Okay. So real quick, so Luka Doncic made his debut last night with the Lakers. The Lakers are playing great right now. Do you guys think the trio of LeBron James, Luka, and Austin Reeves can carry the Lakers to at least the Western Conference Final and make possible the championship? Start with you, Pastor. What do you think?
Oh man, you gonna start with me? They're playing a good brand. They're playing a good brand. You got to see what, you know. Utah stinks, so we got to see what happens when they play, you know, a team where they got to play some defense, because that's where they're going to be, you know, deficient, because Luka or LeBron aren't very, you know, known for their defense. So that's as far as running gun. And you know what, Jackson Hayes, man, that's all you got to do is do the alley-oop, and both LeBron and Luka can do that. But I think they're going to be hurting under defense. That was a big thing with the kid from the Hornets flunked his test. You know, that set them back a minute because they don't have that center now. I think they're doing good, man. In the fourth spot, maybe the Western Conference Final. You know me, I'm a Laker fan. I hope they can get the championship, but I think we've got to see how they can play defense, Henry. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know. So the Lakers did sign a center today.
Yeah.
He's 7 feet. He got waived from the Wizards. I don't know how good he is. Alex Len. I don't know. You know.
A C
Yeah,
plus.
I saw that they signed him too.
Okay.
But yeah.
He's a C plus player.
Okay. So what are your thoughts, Bishop?
Well, no, this guy from the Wizards, because you know, Washington news down here, man, they talk about the Wizards like they're the next championship team. You know, wishful thinking. But anyway, he's a C.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be down here to hear this stuff, man. I mean, you know, but he's a C plus player. But getting back, I like how Dante was around the ball when he was on the floor. You know, a couple of plays. You saw one play where there was a missed shot. I think an attempted 3-pointer or at least a 15, 16-footer or something like that. And he ends up with the rebound and score. He's going to be good for this team. They're going to make it to the Western Conference Final. I'd probably give them round 2. And if they get to the final, that's great. Okay. I'm just going to simply say it that way. I'm not rooting against them. I'm not a Laker fan. Everybody know I'm a Knicks fan. I'm still waiting for them to get to the conference, but just the conference final. Did you hear what I said? Not you, Walter. I'm talking about can you hear me, Coach? The conference final. I'll be happy. Okay.
All right. So Larry, what you thought?
Before you get Larry, I gotta say, in the words of the late great Leon Hess, hey, Thibodeau, I'm old. I want to win now.
I think we speaking out of turn about the Lakers. We haven't seen them do anything yet. You know, they just played one game together. You know, you can look good against some teams. You know what I'm saying? They can make you look real good. But when you play the top teams, and the truth's gonna come out. You know, and you can't play no defense, it's gonna show.
Okay. What about you, Kendall?
I think Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James, and then, you know, 2 big men will do whatever they need to do to get it done. I mean, Michael Jordan did it with Luke Longley, you know, Bill Wennington. So I think, I mean, they look okay. I mean, I'm not going to knock LeBron James. LeBron James, Pat Mahomes, there's just certain players that, you know, you see them out there, you give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, they've been around for a long time. They do pretty well. I watched them last night. They seem to have, you know, they gel. But Austin Reeves has been playing against anybody he's been lining up against. So I think that's going to be a big plus for them. He has definitely got that point guard position on lock.
Okay. Donald, what's your thoughts?
Well, I like the game I saw last night for sure, but I'm going to have to sit over next to Larry. I think we're pushing that button a little too hard right now. They're going to be real exciting to watch, but they might go 2 round, Bishop. I'm saying 1 myself. Mm-hmm. But they're not going to have any defense. They got to get them somebody to help with that defense. Right now, LeBron James has got to work too hard, and I think that's going to hurt him down the stretch. I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again. I think they're working the boy too hard. Hopefully, he can get a little more rest because Luka can shoot. I noticed they did switch him up a little bit. You know, let LeBron sit down and have Luka in the game. You know, that'll work a little bit. I like the Lakers team. I'm a Laker man myself. I like the team. You know, I'm a big LeBron James fan. That's how I got on board. But I can't see them going to no championship. I think they're really jumping the gun on that. There's no way they're going to fly through the you know, them other teams are too young and too good. It's too young. Their legs are hold up. You know, LeBron James last night, if you was watching the game, for a second there, he was headed to the locker room. He came out real fast. But, you know, one day he ain't going to come back that fast.
Yeah, well, LeBron is 40. So real quick, we'll do this last question. So the Lakers rescind the trade with the Charlotte Hornets for center Mark Williams after he failed the physical. But they did sign a big man today. But the big question, if you guys were the rookie, Dolphin, what's the name, Catch?
Connect.
So now he's back. The Lakers traded him, and now he's back. What advice would you guys, if you guys, because he's young, he got traded away, he wasn't playing good for the Lakers, he came back. what advice would you guys give him to like to go to a team that was got rid of you, but the only reason why you're back because the other boy failed the physical. Start with you, Pastor. What advice would you give him?
But just like it's just like with Anthony Davis and Luca. It's a business, and you have to address. I'm sure that. I mean, I'm sure he was disappointed, but they're happy too to go from because he done went back from Charlotte back to LA. The bad thing is, I don't see how he's gonna get any burn now with Luca, because now you got Luca in that spot. When you now, like you said, you're trying to rest LeBron, that's good because you take LeBron off and you ain't got to worry about somebody scoring because now you got Luca. But Luca know LeBron on the bench, so he ain't passing the rock. He goes, this is my opportunity to score. Now you got Austin Reeves, and you got Gabe Vincent. I don't know how you gonna get any burn now. They did him a favor by sending him away. But now back, yeah, he might. I don't know how you gonna get in the game unless somebody get hurt.
Right. What's your thoughts, Bishop?
Well, I've only seen him a couple of times, and I don't know a lot about him. But listening to Pastor T talk about him, he looks like he's going to be a garbage time player. When they up by 20, 30 with 3 minutes to go in the game, he'll get his opportunity and chance. Then again, I could be dead wrong because him coming back, he realizes that he technically dodged the bullet. So now my next question is, what are you going to do different that's going to make your coach realize that he needs you? That's going to be his challenge. That's all I'm going to say on that.
All right. What about you, Larry?
No, he's talented.
Yeah,
he
he's
just
talented.
had a rough showing. They traded him to get a big man. Okay.
Right.
If they didn't have to do that, they would just never get him away. The boy is talented. I guess if he practiced harder, work on his game more, he's going to be in the league for a while to come.
But that's why I said what I said. What's he going to do different?
He didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. They just like you said, they needed a big man, and that's the only piece. They wasn't giving up Austin Reeves. He's a rookie. He's a shooter. I mean, so he didn't do anything to deserve getting traded. He was the only asset they had to get a big man.
He was a commodity. That's all. Like you said, it's a business. He was a commodity. So sometimes you got to trade a little bit of gold and some silver to get back some titanium and some platinum. Who knows?
Yeah. What about you, Kendall?
Well, if you're the player, then you go off now. They try to trade you. The guy, didn't pass physical. So they let me know you drafted me in the first round and I can shoot. Start shooting. That's it.
Okay. What about you, Don?
Well, he's going to be coming off the bench.
Yeah.
You better play the hardest you can play every time the game come up. Connect is really good.
He's
really good. Like you said, now that his chances done fell way down. But if he come off that bench, somebody got to lead the bench. Be that leader. Be that leader. That's what I would tell him if I was talking to him. Be that man that come off the bench that plays very hard, that makes sure they notice you. Even if you get traded next time, you'll be a star wherever you go because you're leaving the Lakers with a name. So I say play hard when you come off that bench. It's your only shot.
Because you're a shooter. Why don't you just go ahead and get some tapes of being in the microwave?
And he can go to the hole pretty decent too.
Yeah.
So,
he's a good player. He's a real good player.
Get some lasagna. Who knows?
He's a good player. I'm going to say this before we close out. See, before they had Anthony Davis, so he had more playing time in the guard. Now that they got Luca,
right?
So you already got Luca, and you got Austin Reeves, and you got Gabe Vincent playing good. So it's going to be hard for him to really get that. But like Donna was saying, when his number is called, he's talented. He just got to play because now Vanderbilt. He's back, so the bigger guys are going to LeBron and Rudy. They're going to have, and the other boy they got the Vinny Smith. Them guys are going to be playing minutes, so there's only so many minutes in the guard spot.
That's right.
And Vinny Smith, he's a good 3-and-D guy. He plays defense and he shoots the three, so he's going to have a hard time getting burned. That's what I said. He's going to have a hard time.
It's going to be hard for him to find minutes.
Right.
So we just got to stay positive as he can. So
And they still got Shake Milton, right? The point guard.
right.
They still, I
They
mean,
still got
so
him.
yeah.
And you know what I mean? They signed another two-way guard, so they Cam Reddish, you probably getting ready to get waived, so their team is
Really?
loaded. So it's 7:09. We're gonna close out.
Before you close out, Henry, let's get to the Jimmy Buckets, Golden State Warriors thing.
Oh, there's
man.
a lot of good trades, a lot of big trades, man.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. Well,
Say
start
that.
with you,
trades.
Richard.
Keep us up here a
Okay.
while now. Let's say that for Friday. We like to get you guys back on Friday anyway. We have a hard time. Let's go with Friday. I'll have a door wide open for you when you come in.
All right. So what's
Yeah.
it? So
Friday's always tough for me, man. Church.
I understand, Pastor. I understand.
I gotta be home on Friday to be able to be here because I can't get nothing out
Let's save it
outside.
for next Tuesday. We have some left for Tuesday.
yeah,
Amen.
absolutely. Because there's a lot. So Bishop, would you mind closing us out tonight?
I don't mind. First of all, we want to thank each and every one of you that's viewing this particular show, whether it's on the KMI app. We want to encourage you to invite your friends to go to KMI USA. Download the app on any one of the channels that's available, whether it's Roku, whether it's Fire Stick, whether it's Apple TV, whether it's Prime Video. And I believe we got one or two more coming up very soon. And if you missed any part of this show, you can go to WJRG On Demand and see the rest of the show. Don't forget to send your comments in and let us know what you're thinking and give us some topics that you want to talk about. We want to hear from you. This show is not necessarily about the 6 of us that show up or the 8 of us that show up. It's about what you, the people, think. So we need you to get involved here. To those of you that are Eagles fans, congratulations. To the KC fans, no 3-peat, but that's okay. It's not like you're finished. You got a young quarterback. We bless God for you. And also, let's get ready. March Madness is around the corner. So we got to get ready for that. Make sure you call and let us know what you think about the upcoming March Madness. Father, we look to you now, thanking you for all that you have done, blessing you for your blessings upon us on this given day. Even down here in the Mid-Atlantic, it might be snowing right now, but God, your spirit is glowing. We thank you for these brothers that have come together to share and to just voice their opinion on the different aspects and areas of sports. Thank you for Bob McCourt. We thank you for the recovery of our brother Jerry Green, Father, as he's at home resting right now. We even bring into this conversation, God, and thank you for our executive pastor, Pamela Teague of Basilea Outreach Ministries, as she's in recovery. God, thank you for lifting her up and always holding up our dear sister, Vera. Father God, we bless you for her, God, for Brother Larry's daughter, Father God, and for Kendall, for his wife, and for Big Don and Big Don Productions and all that they do. God, we thank you for this group of people that come together in and day out, week in and week out, that makes this show happen. Now, as we leave this place, but never your presence, continue to walk with us, talk to us, live with us, God, share with us, help us to grow and help us to nurture to be even better than we were today. We want our tomorrow to be even better than our yesterday. Walk with us, talk to us, God. Just lead us, guide us, guard us, govern us, protect us, and correct us as we move forward. Now unto him who is able to present us before his throne, to the only wise God, be glory, majesty, dominion, and power from now henceforth. To God be the glory. We say amen, amen, amen.
Amen.
All right, Larry. Respect, Larry.
4 people on there.
Okay,
Big respect, Larry. My man. All right. Next year.
Basketball.
Start the journey all over.
Hey, Larry.
Yes,
Larry, I think you're a winner, Larry, but I've got to say this. Larry the loser.
Well, you know, Larry's out tonight, so we can go basketball now.
Yeah, you're off the hook tonight. So, you know, and I appreciate that. I applaud you showing up. You could have said I'm working, but thank you for showing up.
Well, I got the jersey on.
That's right. Respect. All right. Good night, everyone.
I ain't putting no jersey on.
Good night.
God bless.
All right, God bless, fellas.
Okay.